Corona, international waters in shambles. The Bucks running to the playoffs at anything but an amble. We could try, but we can never stay away from the NBA, from India. Here's your very own Ball is Bay. Your favorite NBA podcast in an Indian accent. You're back at it again, being brown, being international, and staying relatively humble. As I always say, it's easier to be humble when you don't have playoffs to look forward to in a couple of months' time. This week, the Bucks ran away en route, becoming the fastest team to secure a spot in the NBA playoffs, while the previous record holders, the 2015-16 Warriors, have quite the opposite story to tell. Speaking of polar things, I've got with me, as always, my image from a convex mirror, holder of the win-win trophy for another year running due to technicality, and worker extraordinaire, Vineet Devaya. Vineet, which city of the world are you in today?
I am still in Budapest, Hungary. I don't know, last time was I in Vienna? No, I just come back.
No,
Vienna.
you were in Budapest.
I was in Budapest itself.
I think you just taught me how to say Budapest.
Yes, it is the Pest. It's not the Pest.
There's this NBA India. I mean, it's not NBA India. It's an Indian basketballer who's a part of the NBA Academy who is also in Budapest. And
really?
He shared some, and I saw some photo of. I think Buda and Pest means something. And
yeah, they said something about it in the tour. I was not really listening to it. They said it means two things.
So this is definitely not a knowledge podcast.
Not a knowledge podcast.
Okay, I mean, we have a special guest with us.
We do have a very special guest.
And since he's your Spurs buddy, I would love if you introduced him to the world.
Right. So today we have on our podcast a very good friend of mine. We've known each other for I think 8-9 years now. We started our companies together. He's far more successful than mine. So welcome to our podcast, Bernie.
Hey guys. Hello.
Hey man. So let's start off with just your journey with basketball. How you got. I know that you are from San Antonio, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, born and raised in San Antonio. I was just telling you guys that I was lured to this podcast under the false pretense that's the Spurs podcast. So I was born and raised in San Antonio and really got into basketball in 87, 88. That's when David Robinson's first season, the man, the admiral who got drafted and then spent 2 years in the Navy because he's such an upstanding gentleman. And
that he is.
Yeah, so I mean, I was really in from that point on. In thinking about this podcast, I was just reflecting on the past 40 years and, from all the way from the Rod Strickland over the head pass in the 1990 conference finals that just broke our hearts. And then just think about how far we've come. I'm really stretching in this season, the NBA season, to really kind of just remember the good times. So all the great times in the past 30 years.
We are devoting an entire section to that good times. So.
Okay. So I'll just say that's how my journey started. So I've been very Spurs centric for many decades. Through the ugly 90s basketball, through the Spurs-Lakers rivalries of the 2000s, and then through the end of our dynasty in this most recent decade. But big NBA fan. It's hard for me to follow when we are the basement dwellers. But I'll try to chip in and chime in here and there as we go through the more current topics.
Yeah. So Ashwin, do you want to start off with the Kobe tribute and what it meant for you? I mean, I think at one point I was just like, maybe they're stretching it too much. But as a Kobe fan, how did you feel the tribute was, and whose speech kind of spoke to you the most?
I think the broadcast was at around 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning in India. Or was it 11 o'clock? I forgot. But it was a pretty beautiful thing. I mean, especially them naming it the celebration of life of Kobe and Giannis. I thought sent the right message. And even everyone who came in there, they spoke about stories. They were really emotional, especially Jordan and, obviously, Vanessa and everyone. It was emotional as well.
And all the others.
Was in the right sense. It was in the right sense, right? I mean, the players were a little somber, but also they were like, it's over now, but we have to celebrate the fact that, we got to witness Kobe, we got to witness what he did, what he stood for, and all of that. So it was pretty special. I think I mentioned in the previous episode that the All-Star game was when the whole memory of it came back, right? And today I think is the 1 month anniversary of Kobe Bryant's passing away, which is it just seems unbelievable that 1 month ago when I heard that news, I was like in complete shock, absolute shock. It was pretty touching. I mean, Bernie, what about you? Did you manage to catch the tribute?
Yeah, I came from it. My history with Kobe is so long. He was our chief rival for so many years, and he just stabbed the heart out of us in that 2000 to 2002 period so many times that there was just a real hatred that we had for him back in the day. And my co-founder, my college roommate, my best friend, he is a lifelong Lakers fan, and I think back to the days of Sega Dreamcast, NBA 2K, when Kobe unfairly was an absolutely unbeatable player in NBA 2K, and it was basically a cheat code to play with him. And so, but the journey, it's just thinking back to like where we started with him, and everyone's like, oh, he's so arrogant, so cocky, and then I have to admit, I begrudgingly started to respect him in the late 2000s as he willed those two Lakers teams to championships. And then to be totally honest, I think my first real respect for him came when he gave shout outs to Bruce Bowen for always being in his jersey. And then I've kind of come to view him as the grizzled old vet that we should all respect, and definitely has accomplished a lot, and obviously a top 10 of all time NBA player. And obviously a huge shock. My favorite story or tribute came actually not from the memorial, but when Shaq was talking on TNT, and he was just overcome with tears, and just thinking about the history those guys had. That was really something to watch, just seeing Shaq, who's normally just such this jovial prankster guy, and then to see him so overcome with emotion and regretful about not reaching out more and not always telling Kobe how he felt about him. That was just really hard to see. And it's so tragic to see someone in the prime of his life who already won an Oscar just the 3 years after retiring. That's incredible. It's hard because we still had decades left to debate about Kobe versus Duncan. And now you can't.
Well, I think Duncan won that, but let's not go there right now.
I know, but we have to tread lightly right now.
Right now we got to tread lightly, but in 6 months it's okay.
But yeah, I do have to admit he really kind of showed us at the end just who he is and his competitive spirit. And, it was really moving to watch the tributes, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me the most telling was MJ. Like Bernie said, any Spurs fan kind of hates Kobe for it's kind of like the person that you hate most because you're afraid of him the most, and that's kind of the sort of subtle respect you have for Kobe Bryant, and just to see MJ kind of have that emotional response to Kobe's death really put into perspective for me how much everyone else respects him, and how much it means. Like I wasn't aware like it meant so much to people, like Kobe Bryant meant so much to people. So that was really good. And
so moving on to like lighter subjects, Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, Vineet and I have a big problem with them being in the East, but still what they've done is kind of ridiculous in this year, getting to the playoffs in the fastest lowest amount of games played. We'll start with you, Vineet. Do you think this team is just like last year's but a little bit better, but still a regular season team which is going to rack up a lot of wins but will get stopped because they are so dependent on one person? Or have you seen something that makes you think that this team this time will get to the finals?
I think they'll get, the NBA finals or the Eastern Conference finals?
Eastern Conference finals they should get to. But I'm thinking NBA finals.
I think we have said this before. Like I think it's just like a problem with the Eastern Conference for some reason it's still shit. So it's easier to rack up more wins against them. And I think the Eastern Conference is even weaker now that LeBron is not there and the only legit team
Kawhi is not there,
and like just there's no superstar except for Giannis, who's producing at a high level. So. As much as we should give credit to the Bucks, it sucks that they're in the East, and I mean, I don't know, man. I still feel the Sixers have a shot, but they're just playing so bad and they're so inconsistent that you just don't know how it's gonna shake up. But Sixers have all the weapons to defeat the Bucks easily. The Celtics have been playing really well.
Yeah.
I mean, their only weapon is Joel Embiid. Like, I'm not sure matchup-wise who else they have as an advantage.
Tobias Harris is really good. You have, Ben Simmons is good. Then you have, what's that guy's name, man? The center.
Al Horford.
Al Horford is
Well,
good.
but he's
So
a
four
little
out
over
of-
the hill right now.
What?
A little over the hill right now.
Well, I mean, I think he can play a Marc Gasol kind of role for the Toronto Raptors. Like, he can do, you don't need someone to be a Shaq, right? You just need a guy who can defend the post, do the be a top of the key screener, and Al Horford does all of those
Stretch
things
the floor.
really well. Yeah, so I mean, they have weapons at every position. Their first five is ridiculous. And I think they will get it together in the playoffs. I think they're so good that they're just like slacking at this point. That's all I can say.
But that's the thing, right? Like, what I feel is you should have proved something before you can get the license of, I can slack off for a while. Like, that this team has not
but
done
they're all millennials, right?
much at all.
Millennials, you know how millennials are. They just they feel entitled to slack before doing anything. So
Okay, I mean, I'll come to Bernie with this question. I mean, the Celtics, because they're coached by Brad Stevens and because Game of
nobody
Thrones
cares
told
about
us
Brad
so.
Stevens, Ashwin. Stop bringing Brad Stevens and everything.
Let me finish there. So they are kind of like the Spurs of the East. All these plays and Brad Stevens. So what a great coach. Anyways, so I personally feel that the Celtics are a little bit more of a matchup problem for the Bucks, and because they've been playing well. Also, they've been playing with that hunger key. We need to do something. We need to show them that we are not just young people. We are young people with skill. They have the long, lanky defenders.
Yep.
They have post plays. They have a decent guard. They have 3-point shooters. I would feel that is a more bigger matchup for the Bucks than the 76ers, who are just completely inconsistent. So what is your feels about it?
Yeah, I do agree that I think the Celtics match up better with the Bucks. I think it feels to me like they're in the kind of stages of if you have an analog for Giannis with LeBron, where he was in the kind of stage of his career with the Cavs, where he's getting 60 to 70 wins a year, but he hadn't quite broken through yet. And I think that feels like where Giannis is right now, where he kind of needs to really punch through that ceiling. And until he does that, there's probably, everyone has their playoff bruises. And I think you can make an argument that he's in for one more year of playoff bruises before he breaks through and then really just asserts dominance over the entire league. And so I can totally see the argument you're making of where there's still like a year left before he begins his own 10-year dominance run, where the Celtics could make some noise because they do match up well.
Are you hinting at a possible move to the Lakers, perhaps? That's how for Giannis.
Oh God, I would stop watching the NBA at that point if that happened. That's just not fun whatsoever.
What if LeBron goes to the Bucks and then Giannis goes to the Lakers?
No. I don't think LeBron is not good at leaving LA.
Not leaving.
He's gonna strong arm the Lakers into drafting his son so they can play together. So I think that's only happening in LA.
Yeah.
I think that's a crazy thing to happen. Draft is a little bit far away though. I mean, we also have the great LaMelo Ball also in this year's draft.
The traitor, I love it.
Okay. Speaking about handsome, I guess. Steph Curry, the little boy genius, boy wonder. I mean, apart from putting up scandalous photos on Instagram, he is now slated for a return to the NBA. And God knows that me and Vineet are like absolutely grateful that he's back. Because we thought that he'd be playing this season, he'd have that chip on his shoulder, he'd be going off for 50 points a game. And we had all those expectations, and then he just, it didn't work out that well. I mean, so yes, what are your feelings from this? I know there's no point, but him coming back to the season, but are you expecting to see, like prime Steph Curry coming back and boom, 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 bringing the excitement back to the Oracle or the Chase Arena? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to think that he's going to come back and be the same old Steph and just get his reps in so that they can come out guns blazing next season. I think it's very begrudgingly we have to start handing over the crown for the smartest franchise in the league to the Golden State Warriors, because they are so lined up now to reload and just take another 3 or 4 or 5 years of shots at the title. And I'm so jealous at how smartly they've played this Kevin Durant situation. I think he's going to come back. He's going to look great, get his reps in, and the league's going to be on notice for what's going to happen next season.
Yeah, we've got 30 games left in the season, close to that much.
Yeah. I mean, he could win 30 games all by himself. They could go on a 30-0 run. It's possible.
They could have gone that in the beginning of the season. Now, won't you want more lottery balls? Or how does this work? I mean, you can't do good now, right? I mean, it destroys the purpose of tanking for the whole year.
Yeah,
if Steph comes back and they win 30 games.
Oh, yeah, that would be fantastic. The Spurs, I mean, we're headed in one direction. And so for us to reach that cellar first would be huge for us.
Before we go to the glory days of the Spurs, Bernie, what do you think?
Oh God!
What do you think that the Spurs should do right now? Like, what's the strategy?
Boy,
Do they
talk about like
we have strategy.
There isn't. I mean, so
there isn't a strategy.
Are we in the Spurs talk section yet? Because
yes. I think we are.
Finally,
I think we can seamlessly go into it.
No one here cares about the Bucks or the Warriors. Everyone wants to hear about the Spurs.
Nobody gives a
shit. So, I am, as a 4-decade Spurs fan, officially worried about our new GM and his tenure, and I would have loved to see something happen with DeMar's contract at the trade deadline, but nothing has happened. I think we are now have no good choices this coming summer because, as has been written, if we lose him to free agency, we still don't get that cap space back. So it's not like we can sign someone else for $20+ million a year. So we've got nothing. I've always said in RC we trust, but I'm starting to get really nervous about what the game plan is here. What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, I don't think Ashwin really pays attention to this.
I care about the Spurs. My OKC, my hashtag Thunder Up is making me proud. So
I don't think there is a game plan. I think Kawhi really fucked us.
Yep.
Everything was kind of like aligned to Kawhi as the next guy, and I think that we have no plan. I think Popovich is going to leave soon, which he should. I think he's old. He's done his job. He's done his thing. And whoever takes over from him is probably going to have, too many expectations. No one's going to land a Timmy again. So I think there is no solution. I think the only thing we can hope for is another like. I don't know. Do you like any of the young guys?
I know it's probably, boy, this is just such a sad segment, but like I really like Derek White. I think he has a higher ceiling than some people think, even though he's been very up and down this season. DeJounte has flashes where he's just a lockdown defender, but he needs to put on some weight and be a little bit more durable and a little bit more consistent. But it's hard to beyond that. I don't know where the hope is. So it's just, we're one season too late for Zion. So I don't know what we're hoping for right now. What about you, Vineet? Who do you think is our hope?
I mean, I think the more important question, at least from my perspective, is that do you think Popovich is going to stick for longer, or is there a change at that position as well?
I think Popovich should leave. I think he's got such a good win record that he should not f it up anymore, and he should go on as one of the most successful coaches without like racking up all those losses.
That's so true.
So that's my hope for Popovich. Is like he goes on a high. He does not have too many losses on his record, because it's not his mistake now. I mean, the thing that a lot of people forget is like Popovich is a great coach, but he was a nobody till Timmy came in. He had just come in and kind of. I always make this comparison between Kobe and Timmy is that like Kobe had Phil Jackson, and Timmy had Popovich, who was a nobody at that time. So Timmy made Popovich one of the greatest coaches of all time. That's how I look at it. And Popovich also says it. It's like you can't go wrong with like drafting Tim Duncan. So I just think Popovich should go on a high. He should be like, all right, I did my thing. I was able to keep everybody together for 20 years. Most winningest coach of all time, and just go on a high note. That's it.
Sip his Merlot or whatever his favorite wine is.
Yeah,
I've heard some crazy stories about all the wines that he personally selects and asks people to like. The first whole chemistry was built around wine. Which,
and I wouldn't be surprised if Tim Duncan comes back and starts playing. He looks in good shape.
Don't get me excited here.
He does look in good shape. Okay, I mean, let's move away from all this sadness about Spurs and, let's talk about... I know Vinith started following the Spurs after Timmy was there. After Timmy was there, as in, I think around 2001 or something, because you started off as a Lakers fan.
I was a Lakers fan.
And then moved on to this. But Bernie, like, can you take us through that part where Spurs were not a winning team? So you must have been a fan of theirs in the 87, like you mentioned, David Robinson.
Yeah, I mean, so when David Robinson came, it completely transformed us. We were such a backwater, no one thought of us NBA town. He comes, and we're always, Robinson's thrown up quadruple doubles. And I remember watching the 71-point game where he bested Shaq for the scoring title. This guy was a beast. And we were really just on the cusp. And then Olajuwon just destroyed us in the 95 conference finals. And so, it was looking really bad. And then Robinson, people will say we tanked, but this was a legit injury. He had a broken foot. So
okay, all right, cool. We believe that.
We do not tank. We're a very honorable franchise. But I remember...
I don't think David Robinson is the kind of player who say, like, I'll tank. It's okay with me to tank.
Not at all. Absolutely. He's the admiral. Didn't I just tell you he took 2 years off after the draft to go serve in the Navy? So this guy is he's an honorable man. And so you mentioned Pop when he first took over. When you lived in San Antonio at the time, it was seen as if he was like Judas, like he had stabbed, I think it was Brian Hill was the coach right before, in the back. And we were kind of like, just show us you're a good coach. But when Timmy came, he was, I still remember one of my most vivid memories was in that 97 draft, just jumping into the arms of my brother and our friends. We were so overjoyed. So for us to win a title in year 2 in what Phil Jackson so stupidly calls an asterisk title, but was very, very valid. And I don't understand, by the way, why they don't call the 2013 championship an asterisk title. That was also a shortened season. So just complete BS.
Yes, I agree. The Thunder should have won that series.
That's another topic. But to see that happen, that was also 99 was the year of the Memorial Day miracle where Sean Elliott's heels stayed above the sideline and he hit a 3 to beat the Jailblazers. Amazing. And that was really just like catharsis for the entire city of San Antonio, where we had endured this 15 years of always just being also-rans, almost, and then to break through in 99. And then there's an amazing actual podcast that came out this week from the Book of Basketball 2.0 where they covered the 2003 team, which was just so much fun with Steven Jackson, the craziest Captain Jack, and then as well as the Steve Kerr game against the Mavericks where he came back and hit 6 threes in the second half. To really become all of a sudden the clutch champions team, to see Manu in 05 with his flowing locks of gold and just
what a guy.
He was amazing, to see him. I still remember his taking the ball around his waist and slamming home over the Lakers in the playoffs. That was also catharsis to finally get over the Lakers in the Shaq Kobe hump in 03. And to really become you expected greatness every single year, and we contended for 15, 20 years solid, where we were one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the league. And, Vineet, you and I met in 2012, and that was the fateful OKC series where we went up 2-0 big, and then OKC came back and won 4 straight.
Yeah.
And that was heartbreaking.
What a great series. And let's talk about that.
That was really just my prelude.
That.
That was the prelude to the meat of what we should talk about, which was the 14 comeback series. But the Russ, Harden, Durant teams were just an absolute beast of a team athletically.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was quite the series. But as a great Spurs fan, I mean, obviously, one of the great YouTube things that I've seen is this video called the Beautiful Game.
Yes.
Which has this nice Italian music playing in the background and this montage of the Spurs like passing. Everyone just being like, okay, they hyping up everyone. It's a beautiful video, and I'm like, you can't hate the Spurs. Like, you may not like them, but you absolutely can't hate the Spurs. You can hate Lakers, obviously. You can hate for them having like absolute beasts in Shaq, and then Kobe though is. It's very easy to hate Kobe if you're not a Lakers fan.
Yep.
But the way they came back in 2014 and won that series after being 28 seconds away from winning the 2013 series is, I think, it's very underrated how difficult it is to almost be there, not get it, and then come back and do an as perfect a job as possible the next season.
It was magical. I actually think of the 14 and the 03 titles as among my favorites of the 5 we've won, because it was so
of the 5 we won.
Of a 5,
okay,
yeah.
All right.
It was so just hinged. It was on a thread. It felt like, because OKC was so hard to get over, and the 3 that Manu hit over OKC was just unbelievable in every literal sense of the word. To get past that team was crazy. The beautiful game, it's just like, we were the proto Warriors. I wish we got more credit for being the genesis to what Steph and Clay and all of them put together, because
I mean, if Bob didn't hate taking 3 so much, I think you would have been like Suns 2.0 or like.
Well, I mean, I think, but a lot of people forget that, a lot of people forget the early Spurs, which was basically their whole offense was give it to Timmy and move away. So that the entire 2003, 2005, I think it started from the 2007 onwards, where it was more of space it, pass the ball around, get you open threes. But the first, I think, 8 years of Spurs was just give the ball to Timmy and wait for a pass. And that was kind of the offense for the most part.
It worked.
And I think a lot of people forget that the Spurs had to sort of take a couple of years to like really convert that offense into a more fluid offense, make Manu and Tony kind of the sort of bench points of where, everybody kind of moved around. And Timmy was more of the defensive sort of stopper.
Anchor.
Yeah. So I think a lot of credit should go there. And we could have won, I think, both titles against the great Heat team, Miami Heat team.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't understand how we lost to the Thunder. Like, it just it boggles.
Don't hate. Okay.
Well, I know
you guys lost twice to us, and one was even without James Harden.
Well, I think
you guys lost 2 series to us.
The 2012 one is which I just can't.
Oh. Yeah, that one's hard to get over.
That was that one is hard to get over. And also I've noticed this, and I haven't done the research on this, but I think most teams that defeat the Spurs, they go on to lose the next series. I don't know if this is very true, but it just seems like it takes out so much from you to defeat the Spurs that you go out and the next series you just have nothing in you to go win it.
Yeah, I mean, in 2016, I think.
No, how can the same team
Thunder beat?
Right. How can the Thunder that defeated the Spurs get swept by LeBron James Heat team?
They were too tired.
I see. It was an asterisk season. We should get that title back. The Phantom Calls. It was not a good series.
Hey,
anyway,
while we're relitigating old series here, Ashwin, I'm going to use you as our Lakers rep. Will you admit that Derek Fisher couldn't possibly have shot a turnaround jumper in 0.4 seconds?
Yeah,
impossible.
Impossible. That was.
But David Stern had strict instructions to switch on the clock only 0.2 seconds after it hit his hand. So, the league works like that.
The league was rigged. The league was rigged.
That's why that should have been a three-peat. Like that was. I look at 04 as our title, and it was a three-peat from 03 to 05.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see the Spurs losing to the Pistons, but who knows? I mean, I did love that Pistons team was special.
It was a good team.
But, It was a good team, and they took you to 7 games in 2005. So, I mean, that's something.
Yeah, they were a good team. Big shot. Bob put him away. That was a great last second shot as well.
Oh, and also you saw? Did you see the the part about in the basketball 2.0?
Up in smoke, all smoke up. What is that thing called? Up in smoke.
Up in smoke, right?
All the smoke.
Something like that.
Which one is it? I need closure. Please tell me.
I think it is
all the smoke. It's all the smoke.
All the smoke. All the smoke.
All the smoke.
Yeah, Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. Who gave them a mic? That's hilarious. That part is hilarious.
They're great. I love them both.
Yeah.
They're really good.
But yes, don't love them too much because your one-stop shop for all basketball news should be the Boris paper.
Boris paper.
Just a subtle plug. We don't have money. We don't have money coming from elsewhere.
Hey, we have a lot of sponsors.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink.
But what were you saying about the All the Smoke pod?
I mean, Bernie, you must have caught that episode, right, where the legendary Kevin Garnett talks about his failed attempts to bully Tim Duncan.
I love it. For him to, and you could see it as a fan, not even having a mic up close, but to see how frustrated and angry Garnett would get. He would literally, like, his just jawing and spitting and like, he's talking to the back of Tim Duncan's head, and Tim Duncan's just like smiling to himself. You can see it in the game film. But what Garnett said was that he was a legendary trash talker who didn't trash talk in complete sentences, and so he would just say, "Oh, nice try," or "Got it," or "Almost." Yeah. And he said it was just infuriating because he wouldn't get perturbed by Garnett's trash talk. I would highly recommend that podcast after you listen to Ballers Bay, of course.
Yes.
There's another one where he tells his legendary MJ story about the first when he was a rookie in the league and he trash talked MJ, and that is just an entirely amazing story that KG tells.
The story which starts with I trash talk MJ almost never ends
in a good way. Yeah. It never ends.
No, never. He was amazing. And to hear that story told, I think someone on the internet spliced that together with J.R. Ryder's version of that story. And to hear those guys tell that story is amazing. Again, I get most of my thrills just reliving the 90s through the 2014. So I watched that. I was watching old Michael Jordan clips. So if you want to go down nostalgia lane, that's a great way to start.
Absolutely not. We are about the present, and we will talk about present. Present. That podcast also, I think the next episode had DeMarcus Cousins on as a guest, and it was hilarious because I was listening to it, and he's like, I want to stay with the Lakers for a long time. I want to come back. And immediately, like an hour or two after that thing, I saw the news about him getting waved off by the Lakers, and I was like, wait a minute, this must be a little embarrassing to happen. He seemed to have a good time though. He's like, LeBron is the best, and everyone is the best, and this organization is the best. Please don't cut me.
I mean, I feel sad for DeMarcus at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not such a bad player.
Let me just clear something up. Vineet is actually a huge not liker. I don't want to say hater, but he's a huge non-liker of DeMarcus Cousins.
Yes.
He does not like DeMarcus Cousins.
I don't. Because he tried to show up Tim Duncan, and Tim Duncan was like, really? Really, man? There's an entire YouTube clip of like DeMarcus trying to like bully Tim Duncan. I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
I will say though, certainly sad what's happened with injuries to him, but he has got a Hall of Fame all-time nickname. To be able to get to say, "Hey, I'm Boogie," that's there's another parallel universe where he isn't injured, and the Boogie is just the best player in the NBA,
It is
and with the best nickname. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he had the skills. It's just.
So Bernie, who are your top 5 Spurs players? Taking out Timmy and David, you got to take them because they're obviously going to be in the top 5.
Okay.
Other than them.
All right. Well, I think obviously you've got to go with Manu and Tony. There's just no question there. I think you got to get some defense, so you got to go with Bowen. Because he was, he's Kobe. In what I tell you,
endorsed.
In one of those ones where I really started to like Kobe was when he was saying Bowen was the best defender I faced. So you need someone who's going to cheap shot. And by the way, Kawhi getting injured in the Golden State series when we would have won the title that year in 15 as well.
Easy win. That was
easy. That was karma though for all of the Bowen Steph unders.
All of the undercutting
that
Bowen did.
It was hard for us to really criticize too much because that's what we did to Kobe every series. But you got to go with Bowen. I'm trying to think about this. I really like Sean Elliott, and for him to have had he was traded away to Detroit in the 95 season, and then he came back prior to 99. He helped us win the 99 title. And that was months before he needed a kidney transplant. So I think he's got to make my top 5 just for getting us our first title and doing our kidney transplant. I actually also, for my dad's retirement party, hired him to do a quick cameo shout out to my dad for his retirement. So that's
nice.
He needs to be on my top 5. So that gives me 4. And just for his performance in the Dallas series, I'm going to throw Steve Kerr in there because that was one where we were looking a little bit shaky.
Okay.
And
Damn, there's no Kawhi Leonard.
No Kawhi Leonard.
Hey, we've broken up. He's our ex-girlfriend. I can't look at him on the court.
We don't talk about him.
No, I can't believe he got Toronto a title. It's like when you date someone who's like a doctor and you take them through med school and you're supporting them when they're nobody, but then they become a doctor and then they dump you and they go to
Is this a personal story, Bernie?
This is very, very personal, and so it's just it's like every time there's a Clippers game, you're looking on Facebook and he's with his new attractive new partner, and we're sitting here and we're alone. Swiping on Tinder, looking for our next person. So it's a very bitter omission.
That's true. I mean, it took me a while, but I think I have accepted Kawhi as our own, someone that we raised, and I'm just happy for all his all the success he has, and I'm going to support him. So that's how I look at it.
So what's your top 5, Vineet, excluding Timmy and the Admiral?
My top 5 has to be Manu, Tony. I really like Kawhi, obviously. So Kawhi would be in there.
You're a bigger man than me.
Come on, man. Then I would have Boris Dio.
Oh, I love that.
Boris Dio.
I love that.
I think Boris Dio is a very San Antonio kind of player. He would fit in all the teams. And then I have to put in Big Shot Bob because he got us 2 titles. So
all good choices. And Diao, the fulcrum of the 2014 beautiful game.
Oh,
he was,
yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Such a forgotten player, man. Such a forgotten player.
Yeah, that's a great pick. I regret not naming him and Big Shot Bob. There's just too many clutch shots.
You took Steve Kerr, which is...
You took Steve Kerr. That was... I'm not sure what Steve Kerr,
Bernie, what is up with that?
I'm an emotional guy, and that's just... it was a pivotal moment that finally beat the Lakers. It was just a huge turn.
Mistakes are forgiven on this podcast. We are like that.
By the way, we had Big Shot Bob on our podcast.
Did you really? That's amazing.
It was in our initial stages of when we were growing up.
Oh my god!
I think it was season 1.
Was that when you guys
he was literally the first big guy, as the first ex-NBA player who came on the pod.
Was that when you guys were at the All-Star game?
No.
Oh my god!
It was a year prior.
What a big get! What a big get. He's legendary.
So
an
now
absolute sweetheart, yeah.
you're one connection away from Big Shot Bob. You can say I was in the same podcast as Big Shot Bob.
Well, let's do a podcast with Big Shot Bob and get me on there. I want to talk live.
Next time he's coming to India, we'll shout you out. You please pack your bags and come to India.
Please.
Have you ever been to India though?
I have not. I would love to, and that would be a perfect excuse to go. And if you ever talk to him again, his Game 5 shot in the 2005 finals. That was my 30th birthday gift from my brother. Is a framed photo of that moment. So he's a pivotal
one where Rashid Wallace goes to Manu Ginobili.
Yep. You can't.
Ginobili.
Man, Manu is such a great player, man. Oh
he
my
is.
god.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that we've not had a Manu tribute pod yet. As an idea,
I think
it
just brings tears.
It's just a moment of time.
He's just so good.
Shit.
He's just so good.
That's
the next guy you tell that this is an exclusively Spurs podcast. We can do the Manu.
It's an easily fixable thing, guys. Bring me back on and we'll talk about Manu for an hour. I grew my hair out to look like him in 2005. I love those flowing locks.
Oh man, so good.
All right,
Yeah,
Vinith, that's it. That's all
it,
for
man.
the pod.
Yeah,
That's it.
it's a good
Amazing.
pod.
Beautiful. All right, Bernie, thanks so much for taking time out to join. I mean,
Thanks for having me.
At least we hope that since we started on time, you have a favorable opinion of us.
Oh yeah, Ballers Day for life.
We don't like to make our pods. Our pod guests wait. We like to make, if it's just each other, then we might be like 5 minutes up or down. But
5 minutes is being very generous.
Okay, thanks so much, man. Thanks so much for making time. We had an absolute blast talking. Vinith is still bouncing from the joy of discussing Spurs basketball.
Oh man, it's been such a long time.
Thank you guys. It's a release for me to be able to talk about the old days.
Before we sign you off, though, can you tell us something about Bombfell, your startup? A little bit about that and just try to
Oh yeah, why don't you bomb him?
I saw that it's about clothes, and I like to think that I dress well, but I would love for you to give us a little more insight into what.
If you're thinking of expanding into India, then this would be a great opportunity for you to pitch Bombfell, man.
Yeah, so this is Bombfell is an online personal styling service for men. You sign up and you get matched with a stylist, and they will select clothes for you based on your fit and your taste. We send those clothes to your door. You have 7 days to try everything on, and you keep what you like and pay for that only, and then you send everything back with a prepaid return label. So like we were mentioning before, Vinith and we met in 2012 in the 500 Startups Accelerator. And those were the good old days where we're all in Mountain View. I remember Vinith was sleeping on couches. I was like, "You're still here?" I'd go home and sleep. He's there at 4 a.m. He's just I think he lived in the office literally and didn't want to pay rent. So yeah, it was
That is the truth.
That is the truth.
So it's been it's been a long journey for us all, and here we are 8-9 years later doing Spurs podcasts, and it's been life is a fun journey.
One of the few companies that are still alive.
Yep.
Yes.
We're cockroaching. We're still alive and kicking.
All right, then. Thanks once again.
Thanks, Bernie.
Third time I'm thanking you. But
Thank you guys. It's a lot of fun.
Thanks, Vinith. I'm not going to thank you, but yes. Audience, please subscribe, follow, do whatever it is that social media people do. We are very weak in social media, but our hearts are big enough to, overcome that disability. Thank you so much once again, and catch you on the next episode. Vinith, say bye.
Bye.
Bye.